Doon 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 doon. Let's go, man. Doon 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 doon. Ladies and gentlemen, the last time that I saw each and every single one of you was so long ago that Anthony Davis was still a Laker. Luka Doncic was still a member of the Dallas Mavericks. That is no longer the world that we are living in. Luka Doncic is officially a Los Angeles Laker. Anthony Davis is officially a Dallas Maverick. And right now, we are here to experience what is the third world of the sports and One Piece world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Hold on. Where's the camera? Where is the camera? This thing was stuck inside of some headphones. Watch out. What in the world is going on? Alright. Let me put this on. Okay. And what is this doing here? What happened to my... Look at that. See, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I always think I'm ready and I'm not ready. Hold on. Hold on. Where is it at? There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are here and ready to talk about the greatness. It truly was Praetorius, man. It truly, truly was. Yo, I have to give a massive shout out to the community, to the chat, because man, oh man, we have been discussing this. We've already discussed this chapter for like 6 hours with the stream, the reaction stream, and then of course the I Can't Stop Thinking About It episode where we talked for another hour. So that was like 6 hours of this chapter. And if y'all are anything like me, even above all of which we've discussed, I've been listening on through the YouTube format and reading through whether it be a Twitter post or when somebody sends me like a Reddit post or whatever the case may be. I can't get enough of reading thoughts about chapter 1138 in all aspects. In all aspects. The mural obviously is a thing that all of us can't stop thinking about it. It is the biggest takeaway of this chapter, as it should be. But from the very beginning, with the Shamrock stuff, the connection with the Shanks stuff, the Luffy conversation with Nami in regards to Shanks' family stuff, the potential Scopper Gabon content, all the way to who's going to be the Holy Knight, what is he going to bring to the table, how is it going to change the dynamic of the arc, to the Luffy's dream and how that connects to the overall bigger picture, who was the kid that dreamed up this mural, just so many different things, man. And then you give me like 5 different translations that we can look through that we can view the lens of the mural through. And it's like, man, this is crazy. Crazy, dude. So let's go ahead and start this off with what Subra sent me earlier today, which I thought was very, very interesting. Shout out to Subra. Because this was something that truly caught me off guard. Let me see. Well, I don't want Shueisha to come after me, so I don't know if I should show the panel. But let me see this, and then we're going to read some of the translations. So this should be good enough to where Shueisha shouldn't come after my head, but just in case they do, yo, Noah, what's good, bro? This is so cool to me, man. Look at that. The dragon connection, so Subra sent me this. And I was like, oh my god. Dude, that fits on. I was like, bro, this is nuts. Because in my eye, I've been thinking, what is the significance of that tattoo? Why do we need more context before Monkey D. Dragon makes a move. Before, obviously, the Holy Knights content that's incoming. So in the middle of the arc where we get Holy Knights content, and we're seeing them mobilize, for a potential reference to Dragon's tattoo to be within the mural was like, oh, that's so cool, man. That is so, so cool. So I was like, you know what? I want to bring this up. And I'm not, once again, a massive shout out to Suba for sending that my way, because I did not see it. I never even would have thought of it. But it makes you think, why would he have the tattoo of the serpent? Does he know something about what that particular entity did back in the day? That it represents a sort of a sort of revolution? Like, does the serpent if that is true, let's just say hypothetically speaking, if that is true, does it represent like the revolution of the people from back in the day? You know what I'm saying? The revolution of the individuals who lived back in the first world. It started bringing up a lot of questions, and I was very, very interested. Let's go ahead and start reading some of the supers here. Akash Panda comes in with a 5 and says, Chapter 292 uses the same word as half moon / fractured moon. True that. True that. I saw that quite a few times throughout yesterday and the day before. Kataware Suki. So obviously Suki means moon. In the third world. Half moon refers to Shandians or Mont Blanc family. And then obviously, as Flourish discusses, chapter, which by the way, shout out to AJ. Shout out to my boy AJ. The chapter 470 title, the cover page in chapter 470, which is of course the where we've gotten like the floating straw hat theories from the NL cover story where he's looking at those hieroglyphics, right? So that most certainly can connect Akash Panda. What I'm fascinated is, of course, we've talked about the half moon and the fractured moon. In the stream, we talked about how that could potentially be the D-Clan, obviously. But the half moon also potentially referring to the Shandians of the Mont Blanc in the Mont Blanc family. Akash Panda, if the Shandians or the Mont Blanc family are represented, and or there is some sort of connection between the half moon and the Shandians / Mont Blanc family, then what about the full moon? Because obviously, that's been the one part of that poem, no matter which translation I read, where I can't wrap my head around. Because every time I think of full moon, I think of Blackbeard. I think of his fruit, the Yami Yami no Mi, and how you have to have the full moon which counteracts the sun, right? So it's like, what are we cooking here? You know what I'm saying? What are we cooking here with the half moon and the full moon? So, but I am very fascinated by that, Akash Panda, because I did not think about the possibility of the half moon referring to the Shandians or the Mont Blanc family. Especially, like you said, because of the way that chapter was titled, chapter 292. Thank you so much for that, Akash Panda. Then Praetoris, Oda's editor, comes in with a 2 and says, the pattern on the snake is round Loki's waist too. Hold on. So that very same thing is also... Where's my iPad? That way my eyes can see it better. Let me pull it up on here. Loki's tattoo or Loki's waist. One Piece. Let's just go to the first chapter he was shown, which is 1130. I see. Oh man. Dude, I completely forgot that he had something like that there. I always thought of the championship belt, but I didn't even think about potentially adding some kind of potential lore implications in regards to this, especially after the mural had a Loki-like figure. Whether it was Loki himself or his ancestor, of course, remains to be seen. But that is very interesting. The pattern on the snake is around Loki's waist, too. And it most certainly is. That is so interesting, Praetorius. What does that mean? Oh. So then, like, what is Oda trying to say with the snake? Because the snake was referred to as the sun god in the Skypiea flashback. If the dragon tattoo was inspired by this, if Loki has it on his waist, then it has to have a major, major connection to what took place in the past. What are we cooking, bro? That is so interesting. So immensely interesting. It's on the mural. That, yes. 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 I thought you were referring to the skull on his, to the skull belt in 1130. But now I see what you're saying with the waist in within the mural. That is, actually, yeah! Yeah! Dragon, hold up! That's a cook! Because Dragon's X, obviously, is like, is in between this mark that is on Loki's belt, or on his waist. So, throughout his head, you see the little thing that's going around through the serpent's body. That is clearly on Loki's body. And then you have the X, of course, which Super pointed out looks like Dragon. Oh, snap. Yo, that's a cook, Praetorius. That's even bigger cook than I thought. Oh, my... Yeah! And there's nothing else over here that has that. What the flip, dude? All the times I've looked at this mural and I never caught that. That's crazy. That is interesting. The pattern also appears on an obscured planet sandwiched between passage 1 and 2. Oh, it does! Yeah! There's a planet up in the air that also has the very same pattern. What the flip is this pattern, dude? Connection to Loki, as well as the serpent and this ancient planet. That's a cook, Praetorius. That's a cook, man. That's a cook. That is a cook. Appreciate you, Anakosh Panda, back to back for the great supers. Brezboy! What's good? Yo, comes in with a 10. It says my super chat is blocked and have no idea why. Can you read my next message that starts with after 10 years? Absolutely. Why in the world is your super chat blocked? What are they trying to do? Let's see. Let me see where Brezboy's comment is. Is it up here? After 10 plus years. So let me see if I can find it. Once this is another stream, boss, you were touched. I was touched by this chapter, boy. This jump meant something to me. The Will of O. Brezboy, I don't see your other comment. So let me know when you post the other comment, Brezboy. And we will most certainly talk about this. I'm sorry that the chat is. What are they doing? We're over here trying to discuss greatness, and Instant Messenger Sama's like, nah, man, we can't do that. We can't do that. Not my Instant Messenger Sama. My Instant Messenger Sama actually comes in with a 10 following that and says, the Gosforth Stone, a 10th century Viking mural artifact, shows the mythical depiction of Thor's fishing expedition with his fish allies against the Midgard serpent. As a Final Fantasy VII fan, that meant something to me. Let me search this up. The Gosforth Stone. Gosforth Stone. Oh, the Gosforth Cross and the Gosforth Stone. Oh, that's what that is called. Ah, okay. So now the Gosforth Stone. Ooh. Okay. So let me pull this up into the stream. Real quick. Let me see if I can get like a full image here. Jormungandr. Oh, there's actually a thing called Hogback. The Viking Stones at Gosworth. Sir Gawain's World. I'm trying to get like a bigger image of this thing. So, as we can clearly see here, very, very much a hieroglyphic type thing. Look, it even has a little thingy, potentially as well. So we got this part of it up here, and then it goes down, and then we have this section that shows. I'm going to some more, like you said, like and what you're referring to with the Vikings here, in the boat. So that is very, very interesting. I did not know about this Gosforth Stone. Instant Messenger Sama. Ooh, another one. Oh, this one has cave drawings. What is this? Ah, fascination. Interesting. And then here's another one. The replica of the Gosforth Cross. And it has like all of these random images, which of course have to have some sort of connection. Dude, this is sick. Oh, man. That is... Yo, Instant Messenger Sama, thank you so much for saying that, because now, before the next chapter drops, I will most certainly check some more stuff out on the Gosforth Cross, as well as these Gosforth paintings. These are very interesting. Or these slabs of stone. Clearly of the most ancient possible sculpting materials you can imagine. Look at this. I mean, this just feels prophetic when you look at it. It even has the fish under it. That's sick. Thank you, Semester Sama. I appreciate you. Let me see if before I read any of the supers, let me see if Bresboy. So Bresboy said in the Discord. Let me read Bresboy's message, and then I will come back to the supers here. All right, let me see. After 10 plus years, the mysterious CS guy's identity, Scopper, is finally revealed in the current CS cover story. The mysterious cover story. In the current cover story, it was comically clear it was who's who. Do you think Oda deliberately contrasted quick and long cover story reveals? Goda. Not sure why. I don't know why the super chat is getting blocked either. He's obviously very intentional with the reveals, Bresboy, because we remember how he handled the Jinbei cover story and how that ended up being major implications for the flooding of the world, how the poneglyphs were scattered, right, and how some of them were potentially hidden, and not through maybe like literal means in the way that a bunch of the poneglyphs were, but how maybe a good portion of them were just lost to time because they were stuck under the sea. And that was a major hint that was given to us through the Jinbei cover story that we were meant to uncover. Same thing I'm going to assume with the Anil cover story. So if those things were left for long-term benefits of the story, then my assumption is that it's going to be end up being the same thing with Scopper Gaban or whoever this mysterious cover story guy is, which I'm assuming has to be Scopper Gaban. So yeah. I think you're right. I think in this one he most certainly contrasted a very quick reveal with a very long cover story reveal. He was like, yeah, I'm going to give y'all this one. It's the final saga. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know who's who. So, y'all be good. Thank you, Bresboy. And once again, I don't know what in the Flagnars is going on over there in regards to that. The Insurgent Serpent. Dragon, the leader of the... Wait, they said this in the anime? How did I not remember this? The Insurgent Serpent Dragon, the leader of the Revolutionary Army. Dude! Hold on, let me pull this up. That's kind of nuts, man. I did not remember them saying that. The Insurgent Serpent. That would have to imply that might be what the serpent is, or at the very least, that is going to have some sort of deeper implication then. Dude, that is so interesting, man. It was during the Flame Emperor scene. Ah, fascinating. Yeah, I also forgot they said that. Ah, Ocular God comes in, membership for 17 months. Let me close this and bring up the chapter again. The Gosforth Stone. Bro, how interesting is that? Alright. Bring up the chapter again. Ocular God comes in with a membership for 17 months. It says, Order dropped lore and said, I'm about to go medieval on y'all behinds. Pulp Fiction style. Yo, legit. Theories are going to run wild. Whitebeard and Marineford. The very first thing, after we finished our stream and I went to bed, one of the very first things that I saw whenever I logged into Twitter that night, because it was really hard to sleep, was the Whitebeard speech after his final words. The legendary, of course, One Piece wa Jitsu Sai Suru. Reading those words, hearing those words, with the mural context of this potentially being the third world, what is about to happen here at the very end of the series, it hit very different, man. It hit so different. And obviously, those are always words that have stuck with me. It's one of the most iconic scenes in the series. I talk all the time about what that chapter means to me and why that is one of my favorite chapters in the entire series. But what this chapter, what this page did was recontextualize even statements like that to make it even more incredible. I mean, straight goosebumps, dude, when you start seeing what Whitebeard says. It's like turning the world upside down, us understanding what that could potentially imply after we talked about, especially with Fox Tamer's comment about like the red line and the calm belt and how, you know, they will meet again. How that could literally turn things upside down, both in a metaphorical sense and in a literal sense. And it's just, it's so immensely interesting. Ocular God. So interesting. Now that you bring up Whitebeard, it just made me think about that again. But appreciate you, yo. Thank you so much for the membership for 17 months. Akbar Jacobs membership for 10 months and says, I have a different interpretation about the snake. Since the snake and the cities are connected. I'm loving where you're going with this, Akbar J. I'm thinking it's a mechanical snake. A revolution. A gear revolution. Dude, I love that idea because that interpretation is one that, of course, we talked about that night after we finished the chapter. But I've also been thinking about a lot because of the way that this page is structured. The serpent could very well mean a technological revolution. And I'm looking at that through the lens of trails that also represents a never-ending snake, an Ouroboros, through the lens of this very similar type of technological revolution. Now, another never-ending snake that we've talked about in the last stream, of course, being like the Jormungandr and the what did Dorian Broggie say? They were like the only thing that we can't that we can't hit with this attack or whatever it was what they were referring to was like the red line and things of that nature. All that has to connect, man. And so the snake in the cities potentially being a representation for that revolution fascinates me because then I wonder if that is true, then why have that pattern on this random planet here, and why have it on Loki's waist? You know what I'm saying? How does that all connect to each other? Why does dragon have the symbol of a technological revolution on his face? What does that truly mean? Stuff like that is really what's like driving me crazy right now. You know what I'm saying? So, man. But I love that interpretation too, dude, because you just look at it and it just screams technological revolution. It reminds me so much of the like we talked about last time with the with the Sky Pirate or the Space Pirates and the NL cover story and what we saw with the Automata and the Underground City, the Forgotten City, the Ancient City. Fascinating. So thank you, Akbar J. Appreciate you so much for that. My boy SJC comes with the 5 and says, Shinichi, handle the defense. Shout out to Parasite the Maxim. Shout out to Parasite the Maxim. Appreciate you, SJC. Thank you so much for that, brother. Then Praetorus comes in with a 10 and says, the fire within the earth and the forbidden sun is the planet's core. Little dudes are going down and bringing up mother flames. Was the flood to stop a super eruption? Is this where Kaido and Big Mom come in? That's a flipping cook, bro. That's a cook. The fire within the earth. Within the earth there was fire. And the forbidden sun being the planet's core. Within the earth, so I'm reading the Viz translation. Within the earth there was fire. Mankind succumbed to greed and touched the forbidden sun. That forbidden sun being the planet's core. The little dudes are going down, bringing up the mother flames. Was this flood, was the flood that completely reset the One Piece verse, was that to potentially stop a super eruption? And is this where Kaido and Big Mom come from? I mean, yo, y'all know me and Kaido, bro. Yo, we get him. I don't care what means we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? I'll be up in the lake swimwear. But that is immensely fascinating. I did not think about it in that way. The planet's core being represented by that line, and why the original flood had to happen in the way that it did. The flood that reset the verse. And they're about to do it again, or at least attempt it. So, if a super eruption does happen again in the third world, in our time, that, of course, would be how Kaido and Big Mom come back into the story. Hey, Praetorus, man. You're making me happy. You're making me happy. You know how bad I want to see Kaido again. Obviously, I really enjoy Big Mom as a character, too. But, man, being able to see my boy again, especially when it has a connection to potential Void Sentry implications with this statement, I'm down with that, man. I'm so down with that. Thank you, Praetorus, for the 10. Montana, let me see if it reads off the full name here. Montana Schmidt. It won't show the rest of it. So we'll just go with Montana. Montana comes in with a 10 and says, the crazy thing about this chapter to me is that it has the biggest lore dump in the series. And there's a massive language barrier between us and Japanese readers. Harder to parse than most texts in One Piece. So now that you're bringing this up, Montana, let's go through this very same thing. Obviously, within the stream, we did it in the original 3 translations that we had that day, right? Whenever we read the stream. Today we have the Viz translation and we have the Artur translation, which I think are both very, very valuable. Shout out to both Sage and Subra for sending me Artur's interpretation of this. So let me go ahead and read that here. What's going on in my Discord? Okay. So this is the Archer one. Well, let me read the Viz one, and then I'll read the Archer one. Now that Montana's bringing up the differences in translations. And obviously, the language barrier between Japanese and English. So this is the Viz translation. The first world. Within the earth there was fire. Mankind succumbed to greed and touched the forbidden sun. The enslaved prayed, and the sun god appeared. The earth god raged, and with its serpent of hellfire shrouded the world in death and darkness, and they will never meet. The second world. Within the void there was breath. The forest god tamed demons, and the sun spread the fires of war. Those of the half-moon dreamed. Those of the moon dreamed. Man killed the sun and became God. And the sea god stormed, and they will never meet. The third world. Within the chaos there was emptiness. The inconvenient remnants recall the promised day and hear the voice of the half-moon. The sun god dances and laughs, guiding the world to its end. The sun returns and brings a new morning, and they will surely meet. Now, let's read Archer's translation, which states, the first world. Within the earth, there is flame. People succumbed to desire. As they seized the forbidden sun, the slaves wished and prayed. The sun god appeared. The earth god grew furious, and with the hell-flame serpent, enveloped the world in death and darkness. He and they could not meet again. The second world. Within the nothingness, there is breath. The forest god sent forth devils. The sun only aggravated the fires of war. The people of the half-moon had a dream. The people of the moon had a dream. People killed the sun and became gods. The sea god rampaged. He and they could not meet again. The third world. Within the chaos there is void. The meddlesome lingering shadows shall remember the day of promise. They will listen to the voices of the half-broken moon. The sun god dances. He laughs. He leads towards world's end. The sun will return. A new morning will arrive. He and they will surely meet again. So, obviously, the middle ground between all the translations is where we land as like what this chapter is, or what this mural and what the Harley texts are actually trying to say, right? But what I find very interesting in particular in Archer's interpretation of this is there's a line where, in the third world in particular, where it says, they will listen to the voices of the half-broken moon. Now, I think this is very important. I think that is an immensely important word, because I didn't look at it in that way until I read this interpretation, which is, the other translations obviously bring up the half moon, and y'all showed me the pictures from Skypiea and being able to see it in the skies. Everything makes total sense to me. You cut a moon in half, it's a D, 100%. But what fascinates me about the Archer translation is when you bring in the broken aspect of it, that implies that it was ripped. That implies that it was split apart for some reason. That they all originally came from the full moon, and due to certain circumstances, the moon that was once full broke. And that broken moon, the people of that broken moon, are who became those who bear the will of D. That fascinates me. Why did they break away? What caused them to be the enemies of the gods? As said by them, going back to this line, we've heard multiple different instances. The people of the D are the enemies of the gods. Not the first world gods, or even the third world. We're talking the ones who were created in the second world. At the very end of this, where it states, man killed the sun and became God. The ones who took out the sun, aka Instant Messenger Sama and the Gorosei, they are the ones who are these, or the gods that are opposed, that the individuals of the D oppose. And so when they say the D are going to cause a storm, and that the individuals who obviously who fear that the most are the Gorosei and Instant Messenger Sama, then there's new weight to that, based on all the translations having that very same sentiment in regards to man killing the sun and thus they themselves becoming gods. And so when you bring in all the translations being so consistent with the people of the half moon, but then you bring in this new element of potentially a broken moon, or a moon that was once full and then broken in half. Because obviously when you go into the second world, you have the people of the full moon dreamed and the people of the half moon dreamed. And it's like, okay, two separate sets of individuals, and they both have their own dreams. It connects with the Vegapunk statement, and it says that they were both on their own right side of history, right? They both believed that what they were doing was right. And so what is extremely interesting for me in regards to the broken part of it is then you bring in okay, they were all a part of this greater whole, and then it broke apart. And that's what... I can't stop thinking about that. You know, like we're heading into the actual... What does the D mean when you get into that? What does it actually represent? We got our biggest hint with chapter 1085. Right, which when Instant Messenger Sama was talking about the actual that no one in the present day knows, those who bear the D right now can't even begin to imagine what that actually stands for, like what the individuals in the past actually did, right? Who bared that name, the origins of the D. And so when you get stuff like this and you connect it to what Instant Messenger Sama was saying, it just gets the brain moving, man. It gets the brain moving. But thank you, Montana, for reminding me about that. To go out and bring up the different translations. Because you're absolutely right. There is a massive language barrier between us and the Japanese readers. And I want to continue to see the interpretations of those who can speak Japanese in regards to this chapter, right? But thank you, Montana. Professor Recon with a tablet. Derek Rivera comes in with a 2 and says, thoughts on what is hidden behind Frankie on the mural. So I've also seen this brought up at different instances as well. I think if there's anything that is hidden behind Frankie, which it very well seems like there is, then it's got to be the craziest thing of them all, right? I'm talking within this mural. And this already feels like the craziest thing we've already seen. It's for sure the craziest thing I've ever seen in the series. And if there's still one more thing that is being hidden by Frankie, it means one of two things. Either it has a giant straw hat level, holy sweet mother of Flagnards, what in the world am I looking at? Or it's going to be one of the biggest mysteries of the Elbaf arc. Meaning, the reason why Oda didn't go on a break with this week's chapter is because he potentially has a mystery just as juicy. Of course, the mural itself cannot be replicated, nor can it possibly be overtaken by anything. It's too big, right? But another piece of the mural that we didn't get to see, another piece that has a major connection. Let's just say if the bottom of the mural has a rope, which we've been connecting towards the One Piece, or if the bottom of the mural has a straw hat, or if the bottom of the mural has a boy that looks like Luffy, or a boy that looks like Shanks, or somebody that looks like a character that we know of now, or one of the ancient weapons, or something that is going to force us to be like, what in this flying Flagnards is that thing? Or it is something that we've seen before, and it gives us like a whole brand new context, like a straw hat. That if we were to see a straw hat within this mural, we'd be like, Flagnards? What does that mean, you know? So I'm thinking it has to be either A, like I said, something that we know of, something that we've seen in the series that adds a completely brand new layer of context to it, like the giant Straw Hat did in the Mighty Jaw, or B, one of the biggest mysteries in Elbaf is about to be brought up here. And this already feels like the biggest mystery in Elbaf, but it's going to be directly connected to Elbaf and the tree, and maybe even to Frankie and what he's going to do with the Adam tree, right? That's my assumption. Derek of Rivia. But if I was a betting man, and I had to put my parlay onto what's behind Frankie right now, I'm going to go with the hat, dude. I'm going to go with the hat. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go with the hat. And honestly, Praetoris, we talked about that as well in the after stream, but it most certainly can be that Frankie symbolically represents Pluton in the mural. I most certainly believe that. Because I think within this mural, we see the 3 ancient weapons. I strongly do believe that somewhere in this mural, we obviously see Poseidon, which is on the left. Somewhere in this mural, we see Uranus, which is either the big dragon thing that's on top, the serpent, or both. Or something maybe on the left, maybe it's the whale, whatever it ends up being. Uranus is also in this painting. I strongly believe that. And if those two are on here, look, Pluton has to be too. So either Pluton is in this mural somewhere, or it's Frankie himself. Either Pluton is the boat, futuristic ship that's on the right, or it's Frankie, or it's the whale. Who knows? But I do believe all 3 ancient weapons are on this thing, because the ancient weapons are too integral to what took place in the Void Century for them not to be here. They just are. They just are. So I like that Praetoris, and I like that interpretation as well. Well, Flourish, it's not about Frankie hiding that. It's about Oda hiding that information. Oda's the one hiding the information, not Frankie. Okay. Derek of Rivia comes with a 5 and says, theory, next arc we go back to the sky. Okay, I'm down with that. Likely Burka. We get Arouge and Eneru's returns. Straw Hats use the arc maxim to fly down and join the war. So, Derek, you think the next arc will be a transition arc that takes us up to the land of Burka or something like that? I'm down for that. Listen, every transition arc in this series has fed me nothing but peak fiction. The Reverie, Zoe, we're talking Jaya, flipping Sabaody Archipelago. You know what I'm saying? Arcs that we're only here for a short amount of time that serve to get us from one section to another. Amazon Lily's another one. Well, technically, I think Amazon Lily serves that purpose more than Sabaody Archipelago. But those types of arcs are just short, sweet, and give me peak fiction. I would take one of those, especially if it's in the sky, and especially if we get the Maxim stuff. You know what I'm saying? Considering that it's on the right side of the page here, and we don't know if that's referring to First World Maxim, Second World Maxim, or Third World NL Maxim. Either way, I can't wait. I can't flippin' wait, man. But thank you, Derek of Rivia. And I would be so down for that, like I said. I truly want another transition arc before we head into Laughtale. Whether that be Lodestar or a Sky Island arc, like you're saying. I do want another transition arc. Especially after this, what I assume is about to be one of the longest arcs in the series in Elbaf. Thank you, Derek. Ocular God comes in with the hundos and said, so when the end fight will happen, before finding the One Piece or after? I think Straw Hats need the knowledge of One Piece holds to unite the world. So, once again, going back to the Whitebeard speech, I do think after the One Piece is found, that is when the world, the all-encompassing world war will happen. That's my assumption. Because the way I'm looking at it right now, Ocular God, I think we don't get the full picture of the Void Century. Or at the very least, we don't get the final piece of the Void Century until we arrive on Laughtale and see the same thing that Roger saw in that moment. The only way I don't see that being the case, Ocular God, is if the Joy Boy that Roger spoke of was Luffy. If the Joy Boy that Roger spoke of was Luffy instead of the Joy Boy from the Void Century, then maybe we get the Void Century before that. But if we do not get the Void Century until we get to Laugh Tale, then that means Joy Boy he was speaking of was actually the Joy Boy of the past. Which means we need the knowledge and understanding as the audience, and obviously the characters, but as the audience to truly see what we're about to be fighting here. We're going to be fighting a group of individuals that have been holding this world in the palm of their hands for hundreds upon hundreds of years. And Luffy is going to be carrying on his back generations upon generations of individuals who wanted to be free and who wanted to take out the big scary dragon as it was stated in Wano. Except this one is the biggest of scariest of dragons in Instant Messenger Sama. So I think we will need that context, and therefore I do think that entire Final War stuff will happen after the One Piece is found. Now, if we find out the Void Century stuff before we get to Laugh Tale, that changes the story. That changes everything. Because then the Final War could encompass everything around Laugh Tale, and then we have to find the One Piece after that. Who knows? But I'm going to bet that it does take place after we find the One Piece. That's my prediction. That's my prediction. But thank you, Ocular God. Soulflake comes with a 5 and says, I compiled the parallels between 3 worlds and the 3 acts of Wano. More Wano greatness? You know I'm down for that. Hey, you just put a big smile on my face, Soulflake. More things that I can use to hype up Wano? I compiled the parallels between 3 worlds and 3 acts of Wano. Kaido was called the deity of the land of Wano, and Orochi the serpent. So what you're telling me is that just like we talked about in the last stream, people, the 19 dudes here on the right, specifically 19 by the way, which is very interesting. Shout out to Joe 3 Skull Theories, who pointed out the fact that there are exactly 19 individuals here on the right, and then the one other lone king, which we assume is probably Lily here on the left, which is fascinating stuff. But you're telling me that in the same way that in this flipping thing, we're seeing a potential thing, like we talked about on the stream, of them like putting out the prayers of like take out the big scary dragon, things of that nature, that within the land of Wano, that the 3 acts actually represent the first world, the second world, and the third world. Listen, if you can cook on that, as a Wano tard, I'll take that any day of the week. That might be the biggest W I could ever take. Soulflake, you know what I'm saying? That might be the biggest W I could ever take. So I'll take it. You give me that, Soulflake, we'll be here for peak fiction. Let me know. Let me know. So that is interesting. Conqueror of the 3 worlds, Ragnaroku, obviously begins attack. But the 3 acts of Wano potentially paralleling the 3 worlds is, I did not think of. That's actually fascinating. On a serious note, thank you so much for that, Soulflake. D. Kutch comes in with a 2 and says, Frankie impersonating Saul equals Oda testing the new VA. I love that. Frankie impersonating Saul is going to be Oda testing and seeing out like how the new VA is going to sound and like in certain ways, right? That is interesting. It reminds me of the Return to Sabaody thing where the Straw Hats all impersonated each other. The fake Straw Hats did. But Frankie impersonating Saul, in particular in the last chapter, is definitely going to test both the English VA and the new Japanese VA. But definitely the new Japanese VA above all else. For sure. But thank you, D. Kutch. Montana then comes in with a 2 and says, Roger heard the Sea Kings say they would meet as well. Yes, in regards to the 2 sovereigns, absolutely. Going back to that section of the flashback that was a part of... So... That was one thing that I was thinking about a lot as well. Because I think I might have gotten the 2 sovereigns wrong this whole time. Right? Like, I remember when that chapter dropped, I was so... I kept thinking about the Emu chapter, where he cut up the posters. And now, you see Shirahoshi there, and you see Luffy there, and you see Blackbeard there, and you see Vivi there. And I was like, are two of the sovereigns here? But this thing really makes it feel like the two sovereigns are flipping Imu and Luffy, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Because what about if it's flipping Blackbeard? Or Shirahoshi? And obviously Vivi's wanted because of the connection to Lily. But I don't know. But this mural really makes it feel like it's Imu, man. Like it's Imu and Luffy. But then that doesn't make any sense. So it can't be Imu. Because they said that the second sovereign has to be born. Right? Like the two sovereigns have yet to be born. That's what it says within the chapter, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know, man. But the Sea Kings most certainly did say that. Thank you, Montana. Al Cien comes in with a 10 and says, your Recon check, chapter 699. Dofi asks, I saw this on Twitter earlier, bro. I was losing my mind. Dofi asks Kuzan what his goal is and what he stands for. You can see how Kiji's glasses the right lens. You can see Imu. As we know from chapter 1121, he'll be an endgame player. Pretty cool. So, just in case y'all don't know what Al Cien's referring to, let me pull out the chapter here. I think this is crazy. When I saw this earlier, I was like, bro, that's nuts. That is like actually nuts, especially with Doflamingo being there, and how Doflamingo within Dressrosa really represented the idea of like a celestial dragon falling down from the heavens, being taken off his perch, was just so fascinating to me. So let's go to 699. Here it is. So let me pull up the OBS, dude. Look at this. Look at. I don't think it's really gonna show it, but look at his glasses, bro. That really deal looks like Imu. That silhouette real deal looks like Imu. Like right after Doflamingo asks what his goal is and what he stands for. You see someone that looks like Imu in the cut in his eyes? Reflected in his glasses? Come on, man. Come the flip on. I was like, bro, that's crazy. That is insane. And so I really, really rock with that. I when I saw that earlier today, I was like, dude, that is crazy. That is insane. Thank you for reminding me to bring that up on stream, Alcian. I appreciate you. Mason Rowe comes in membership for 2 months and says, do you believe that we are actively living in a One Piece world? As in our history is actively being hidden from us, to keep us enslaved? Absolutely, Mason. There's no question. Especially in the country I live in. I live in the good old US of A, baby. There is no doubt in my mind that everything that we're seeing within the One Piece world is most certainly has happened in the past, is happening today, and will continue to happen until things come to an end. You know what I'm saying? There is no question. Absolutely no question, Mason. And then around the world, obviously, each individual country also has their own stories that... Of their histories potentially being altered, to serve a different purpose. But there is no question in my mind that most certainly does happen. And like I said, especially where I'm from, there's no doubt. No flipping doubt, man. I don't doubt it for a second. As a matter of fact, when I was first going through Water 7 in his lobby, and I saw the idea first being presented about these very same topics, and considering how big of like a world government conspiracy the Ark is, and I was really, really young at the time. That's whenever those types of ideas really started to come into fruition. And I was like, dude, you know something? This man might be spitting. You know what I'm saying? He real deal might be spitting. But there is absolutely no doubt. Thank you, Mason. So Praetorius comes in with a 10 and says, the snake is, the way you say this is Nidhogg, right? If I'm not mistaken, Nidhogg, because I believe I do recall hearing of this before. Stuck in Yggdrasil's roots, the dragon is the eagle up top, who Nidhogg argues with. Remember the Babylonian story of a tree with a bird, a serpent, and Lilith. Yo, Praetorius, that is a cook, yo. Hold on. The myth of Etana features a tree with a serpent at its base and an eagle in its branches. The story also involves the sun god. Okay. Alright, Praetorius. That's a cook. That's a cook. Oh, this is also very interesting about the story. The eagle takes Etana to the heavens to find the plant of birth. Obviously the heaven realm. The eagle breaks the pact and eats the serpent's children. That's Big Mom. It's literally the Big Mom flashback. Dude, that is it. Yo, Praetorius. That's interesting. The myth of Etana. The snake bird creation myth. The Lilu. The Lalilu Lelo. Shout out to Metal Gear Solid. Fascinating stuff. Thank you, Praetorius, for sharing that. That's a cook, man. You definitely need to cook more on that. That's a cook. That's a cook. A cook. A cook, yo. Akash Panda goes with a 5 and says, First world, Nika appeared from slaves' wishes. Second world, the forest god created the fruits from the dreams of the D-clan and the Lunarians. Nika fruit was the first fruit? Do y'all think that? Do you guys think that the Nika fruit was the first fruit? I mean, obviously, heading into the way the stories normally work, right, that would make a lot of sense. I'm going to go with one of 3 options, Akash Panda. Either the Nika fruit was first, or the flame fruit was first, considering the importance of flames within not just Japanese culture, but within historical context as well, right? Flames were the first things that entertained humans. Flames were the things that caused cavemen to change, slowly become what eventually would become like us, right? The entertainment value of flame, the way that certain stories have gods using flames to punish individuals or destroy major countries. It's a weapon. Flames are also used to protect. Flames are used to destroy. Flames are used for so many different things. That when you bring in the sun, when you bring in the mother flame, that I feel like Ace's fruit may actually have a good case for it being the very first fruit. I definitely do think it might be Ace's fruit. So I'm going to go with Ace's fruit, the Nika fruit, or the Yami Yami no Mi for Blackbeard's. I'm going to go with one of those three being the very first fruit. Or a doctor having Law's fruit or something. I'd probably go with one of those. I would probably definitely go with those. It's a great question, though, Kosh Panda. What do you guys think about that? About, like, which one was, like, the first fruit? Eric comes... Yo, my boy Eric! Shout out to the Red Force! Comes with the two. It says, the church detailed a 100 years. That's real. If you, bro, we're talking... like, in terms of, like, the way that... the real Void Sentry. Listen, man, that most certainly is real. That most certainly, yo, we want to read the Void Sentry. We go down there and visit the Vatican, bro. That's where the real poneglyphs are. You know what I'm saying? That's got the real poneglyphs, the real poneglyph. You feel me? There's a reason why the individuals in the Holy Land are named after saints, dog. That's all I'm saying. You know, you feel me, bro? Hey, listen, man. The Vatican's holding the Void Sentry, bro. We all know that's true. We all know that historical context is factual. Appreciate you, Eric. Instant Mr. Sama comes in with a 10 and says, I wonder if we are ever going to get the Emerald City arc. Bellamy was the only character that mentioned the City of Gold, the Emerald Capital, and the secret One Piece in one sentence. The secret treasure One Piece in one sentence. You know, we've discussed this at multiple points, and I feel like because it is Oda, it is most certainly going to come back into the story at some point. I keep remembering that, like, Greenbit was referred to as the Emerald City, and I'm trying to remember what translation, or if it was in Japanese, or if the case may be, like the kanji could be used to also say Green. I'm trying to remember what it was, because I remember somebody explained this to me. I just don't remember what the context was for it. But that green bit could have represented what the Emerald Capital is, the Emerald City is. But if we are going to get an Emerald City arc in Semester Sama, I would not put it past Oda for the Emerald City to be either a section of Laugh Tale itself, or the thing that allows us to transition into Laugh Tale. Because Laugh Tale is the ultimate Skypiea-esque journey of, like, a thing that doesn't exist and we have to prove its existence, right? So what better way for us to have an arc like that than to have a Jaya for an arc like the Emerald City? But we have an Emerald City that leads us into Laugh Tale. Or the Emerald City is Laugh Tale. Or, you know what I'm saying? So it's... if it's not Greenbit or something that we've already seen, then I think whenever we do see the Emerald City, it is going to have endgame implications. It is going to have... it is going to be one of the most important things in the series. Because of the fact that it was brought up all the way back in Skypiea. I strongly believe that. When you're brought up in the same sentence as the One Piece and the City of Gold, come on, man. Come on. So, it's either Greenbit, and we all overvalued that statement, or it truly is going to be something connected to Laugh Tale. That's my assumption. That is my assumption. So Crab2 says, my personal crackpot theory is that there are 3 worlds because Romance Dawn took 2 scrapped prototypes before it officially got published as One Piece. In the meta sense. The first world of course, that was his original story. The second world was the one that was nearly published. That's the one that we got the one-shot for. That we got the episode on, the Romance Dawn episode, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was the second one. Which is crazy. Because that really is Joy Boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of that version of the Romance Dawn flashback, you see Luffy with the chin badge, and he looks much older, which I'm assuming is probably what Joy Boy's going to look like. And then the third one, ours, is Luffy's. I love that, Quag 2. I really do. It adds into the meta stuff we've been talking about in regards to this chapter. And I think that is so beautiful. Eric comes in with the 2 and says, brother, where does Blackbeard fit into all this? You know, Eric, I was actually planning on talking about this at some point, either within this stream or like in a separate video, but I think now's a better time than ever. I've been thinking a lot about Blackbeard. After, of course, we read these poems, now that we're seeing just how immensely important Instant Messenger Sama and Imu and the Gorosei and the Void Sentry and all of this is going to be in regards to the final war. Obviously, that's going to be the major thing that's going to be at play. But because of Blackbeard's speech, because of what Blackbeard represents in this series, I really can't help but feel like, because in particular, he, Buggy, and Luffy, their journeys all parallel each other so well that when we do get to the end game of the story, there is no scenario that I can see where Blackbeard is not there in some way, shape, or form, and being extremely pivotal in what is going on, regardless of the side that he's on. Blackbeard, going back to the People's Dreams Never End speech after this chapter, it's different. People's dreams never end. Even the dreams of those from the first world. The dreams of those from the second world. The dreams that they had all the way back in the day, they still haven't ended. Devil fruits are the literal manifestation of people's dreams from all the way back in the day. Blackbeard saying people's dreams never end, obviously, in our context, means something completely different to us when we're first initially going through the series. But looking back on it, recontextualizing with information we're getting, we've got an Egghead, and even now, these things that were born from the manifestation of the desires and dreams of the people, he takes pride in as being the only individual on the planet that we know of that can eat more than one fruit. There has to be a connection there. He's literally carrying the dreams and desires of people from the first and second world. Their dreams never ended. They live within them. And so, it's like, when you have a character that embodies that, they have to have endgame importance. When I think of dreams in One Piece, the two characters I think of immediately are Luffy and Blackbeard. So it's like, I've always thought Luffy's dream is going to be endgame. And I actually received a comment on this in the I Can't Stop Thinking About the Chapter video, that someone brought up a really cool idea of Blackbeard and Luffy's final showdown actually taking place after all of the craziness with Emu and them have happened, when they are both close to achieving their actual dream. Right? We're talking after the One Piece, after Luffy becomes king of the pirates, after all of that, when Blackbeard and Luffy are about to achieve, because we know Blackbeard's dream goes beyond, and Luffy's dream goes beyond. So as the two individuals whose dreams go beyond, that, and it's a pirate manga, obviously, that being the actual initial final confrontation within the story, that fascinates me. I just don't know how that would play out in regards to the overall narrative, right? Like, how do you go above what I believe is going to be a Gurren Lagann-esque Luffy versus Emu, unless it's a very personal, small-scale battle between Luffy and Blackbeard, which is what he would like to go through instead. I'm not sure, but I'm fascinated by the two dreamers, the two individuals who couldn't be more different yet couldn't be more similar, being the final, of course, in the final battle, the final conflict within this series, which is why I can't stop thinking about Blackbeard's role, because he's obviously going to be extremely important already, being the one that has done the most moves within the final saga, right? In so many different ways. But even then, I can't stop thinking about it. And by the way, speaking of Blackbeard, outside of the potential final conflict and stuff like that, I've been thinking about something, and I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. So, excuse me, while I was looking through the mural, I noticed that in the mural, there are 3 monsters here. Do y'all think that Blackbeard's skulls, the 3 skulls, that obviously they could mean the 3 ancient weapons, they could mean the 3 fruits that he's going to have at the end of the series, we assume. But I am so interested in if Blackbeard made that his pirate skull, made that the insignia of his crew, represents his crew, because of the 3 monsters in this mural. I mean, you have the monster on the left, which we all assume is Emu. You have the dragon in the middle, and the serpent on the right. And so, based on what we've talked about in the stream, the serpent on the right could have a lot of implications of being for revolution and things of that nature. The dragon in the middle obviously represents like destruction and things of that nature, and Emu obviously represents like the ultimate individuals who become the gods of the verse. So I wonder if there is a connection there between the 3 monsters in this mural and Blackbeard's pirate insignia. But maybe that's just me reaching like Gomu Gomu and all levels of reach. But it's like there's so much endgame importance here that I and like I said, I've been able to stop thinking about Blackbeard and how he's gonna fit into all of this. That it's like, man, I just don't know. Eric comes with the 2 and says, think about this. Blackbeard ate the sun already with Ace. Blackbeard ate the sun already with Ace. He literally ate Entei. Blackbeard did fight Ace, man. The sun and the moon, the sun and the darkness, they did have, and their battle was immensely important for how this series would be carried out from that point forward. You're absolutely right. And he did beat Ace. That's a cook, Eric. That's definitely a cook. It's definitely a cook, man. No, for sure. Marcus Betts, that's also my idea as well, right? So, dude, flipping Blackbeard, man. Thank you, Eric, by the way. I appreciate you. So, Blackbeard potentially having the 3 skulls potentially representing, obviously, the 3 fruits. If he gets his hands on all 3 ancient weapons as well. Holy sweet mother of Flagnards, man. Quag2, me too. So Quag2 says, whatever happens, I'm dead set on the idea that Blackbeard will die by drowning. I think there's a reason why Oda has never shown someone that, in a pirate manga, that has died that way. My 2 ideas for that, Quag2, are number 1, because I strongly believe everyone from back in the day did, right? Joy Boy, all of the individuals that, from that time period, they did drown. As we were discussing back in like the Egghead streams. But number 2, I'm right there with you. I do think Blackbeard will die by drowning as well. I think his ultimate demise will come at the hands of his own doing by having eaten 3 fruits, and thus drowning. Like, you don't get more piratey than that. You know what I'm saying? Fascinating stuff. Okay, Super, I got you. Let me see. Insomniac, I don't even think Oda has the whole mural figured out. Let alone me. Let alone me, man. Let me see. Harley. So, my theory, I think I have kind of decoded the meaning behind the mural. Right side is the void. So this is coming from Subra. Right side is the void century and the life of enslavement. Left is the children's dream of freedom, which will become the reality with Luffy. Okay, interesting. Let me explain why. Harley and the mural are 2 different plot lines paralleling to a conclusion, end/prophecy. So what the Harley depicts is the 3 worlds. First world before 900 years ago, but the story depicts the entrance to the void. Second world, 100-year void. Third world leading to the recent timeline and prophecy of Sun God and Imu's 3rd meeting. Now for the mural, as I said before, it's just the children's dream, which wanted freedom and shared their pain of enslavement and their wish for freedom. So what we see in the mural is the glimpse of the void century and the final war, most likely. Now the fun part is Luffy will make that dream a reality, eventually making both the Harley's prophecy right and this kid's dream a reality. The first fruit, Akash Panda. I think fruits did not exist in the first world imagination, and prayers created the sun god. Ooh. His will came into the devil fruit first in the second world, where Imu created the fruits. So it might be the first fruit with a will of its own, the first mythical Zoan. That is fascinating. That the fruits did not exist in the first world. Imagination and prayers created the sun god. Misinformation did. Desire did. And his will came into effect in the second world when Imu created fruits. Or / when the forest god did. Whoever that individual is. That's interesting. In regards to... So, Akash Panda, that's a cook, obviously. Super, that's a really interesting interpretation. You have the one on the right, like you said, being the reality of the situation at hand. And the left is the dream of freedom. So you have the parallel, obviously, of enslavement versus freedom. A prophecy of the future and the reality of the situation. That is very interesting. I do like this interpretation a lot, Subra. Making the kid's dream a reality. Absolutely. Absolutely. Akash Panda, you didn't write that? Oh, that's my interpretation of Akash Panda's... Oh, my bad, Akash Panda. My bad. So, Suber was saying that was the answer for the first fruit question. Well, what was the original fruit question? That's what Suber was saying. It was... I thought that was you that said that. I gotcha. That's Suber's interpretation of your question about the first fruit. Gotcha. That makes sense. Yo, Rodrigo, much love, yo. Much love over to Argentina. My people. Akash Panda comes in with a 5 and says,
1 out of 2. The Heaven Part 10 of the Heaven Realm of Elbaf, Tenkai, is the same as the Celestial Dragons Part 10 of Celestial Dragon, Tenryubito. Ooh. Maybe so then this is Part 2. Maybe the dragon on top of the tree in the mural is the original Celestial Dragon, an actual dragon that the world nobles are named after. Cook. And Akash Panda, that dragon being at the very top of the world within the mural obviously represents the Celestial Dragon. Akash Panda, remember the way that the people of Wano referred to fruits as like sorcery. They couldn't understand it. They couldn't believe such a thing existed, right? So they just named it something that meant something that was close to them. So the dragon monster thing in this thing, especially where it's coming from, it looks like the dragon monster thing is coming from space. In that image, it looks celestial. Like Quag 2 brought up, that thing is very, very close to where those little strange planet moon things are, right? The closest thing to the moon is not even the Maxim, it's the dragon. So, if at the very top of the world, back in those days, was a dragon, or the mural showcases this dragon as like a representation of the celestial dragons, either way, that is very fascinating. That the dragon in this photo showcases something that either they were named after an actual dragon that presided back in those times, or the mural the thing within the mural actually represents these celestial dragons, or what would become the celestial dragons. The original celestial dragon. The original celestial dragon, you know. That's interesting. Because it is true. Why would they be called the Celestial Dragons? It has to be that for a purpose, for a reason. That's a cook, Akash Panda, man. I like that. I like the connection, obviously, with the Heaven Realm as well. And obviously, I guess whenever we do get to the Heaven Realm, we might see some more parallels between the Celestial Dragons and whatever in the world's up there. Thank you, Akash Panda. Mason Rowe comes in with a 2 and says, free will or determinism in One Piece, what's more likely? In terms of like end of series? Based on the end of the series, or I'm sorry, the themes of freedom, I think there's going to be an exploration of free will, continue to be explorations of free will throughout the course of the final saga of One Piece. That'll be a bigger focus in terms of what's more likely. Free will be a much bigger focus, I assume, both within the first world flashback, the second world flashback, and the third world content. That will most certainly be explored very, very deeply. OMG, what's good? Queston Kelly says, the first world is fire, the second world is earth, the third world is water. I feel like I just read the Avatar Last Airbender thing. The text of the third world says the sun will guide the world to its end and bring about a new dawn. Maybe it creates a fourth world of air and freedom. That's interesting. So, like, the fourth world is like the post One Piece, the Buffy stuff. I like that. Fire, earth, water, and the fourth world being air. Air travel. The individuals both in the sky and under the sea are able to breathe the same air as everyone else. There's a lot of implications, a lot of great thematic implications of what air could be. I like that a lot, Queston Kelly. That's a great idea, man. That's a fantastic idea. That's a cook. Fun theory on Zoro versus Shamrock. Shamrock is the guard dog of hell, and Zoro become the king. Oh! Hey, listen. I was really hyped for when Shamrock pulled out the three sword style with his dog. So listen, man. Cerberus versus Zoro. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's let him get it. I brought up the Heaven Realm because the dragon was top of the tree. Definitely, no, I got you. I definitely see where you were coming from with that, yo. I definitely see. My fault if you went over this already. But who do you think they refer to when they say they will not meet again? And the third world says surely they will meet again. Maybe Luffy and Vivi. I keep thinking it's Luffy and Emu. To me, it's the one that makes the most sense. But, like Fox Tamer MGO brought up within the original chapter reaction stream, that potentially what the they will meet again thing is referring to is like the red line in the calm belt, that the world becomes one again, right? Like it literally becomes one piece through the merging of the destruction of the red line, the calming of the calm belt, where everything becomes a single ocean, and that's where all of them do meet again. That very well may be what it's referring to as well. Love that comment. Zoro! My guy! It's good to see you, my boy. This chapter was peak, man. Seb goes membership for 23 months! Almost 2 years, dude. Shout out to Seb. And it says, Loki and the serpent have the same pattern in the mural. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier in the stream, Seb. Like, what does that mean? And not just Loki and the serpent, like Quag 2 brought up. The little planet thing on top of the page, on top of the mural, in between the first and second world poem, also has the same pattern. So it's like, what does that mean? Why have that same pattern on Loki, the little planet thing, and the serpent? Quack2 says, do you think there's any correlation between this idea of a child's dream, Bonnie and her strong connection to Nika/Gear 5, Kuma's Jolly Roger was a child's drawing, and Luffy is also well known for his childish drawings? Yeah. Like the fish Nami and the Jolly Roger he drew on Laboon, with the intent of meeting a... Oh. Yo, hold on, man. That's a cook. Yes. The same way that Luffy promised to meet Laboon again, with the childish drawings. Kuma's Jolly Roger as well, promising... Oh. That's good. Some good stuff. Bonnie and Kuma could not meet again. Quack 2, that's a fantastic flipping comment, yo. The idea of a child's dream. Bonnie and her strong connection to Nika and G5. Kuma's Jolly Roger being a child's drawing. In the yes, yo. The Jolly Roger that he drew on Laboon with the purest intent of just meeting again. Dude, Quag 2, you gotta save that message somewhere. You gotta save that message for a future stream. That's some good stuff. And Bonnie and Kuma could not meet again. Same brother still haven't recovered? Bro, Zora, I honestly don't think we're going to recover from this mural in quite some time. In quite some time. Coach, where do you think Toki is? Yo, OMG, great question. Where do you think Toki is in all of this? She has probably played a role in this somehow. So OMG, going back to the mural, I honestly do believe, at the very least in the second world, what's being referred to here, I mean, obviously, this could be referred to as the individuals of the D. But I think, based on the several different translations, the middle ground of the half-crescent moon / half moon in the context of the second world, rather than the D in that sense, could be referring to the Toki and the Kozuki clan, and how they kept that dream alive through all of these years, right? Because of the poneglyphs and things of that nature, potentially even being directly connected to the D clan, in that sense. So obviously we talked about the breaking off point and the half moon individuals referring to the people of the D, which I 100% agree with. But I do think it also could have implications with that as well. Because like you said, Toki heading off from 800 years ago to set off on that mission, it just has to connect. It has to connect to whoever had Kuma's ability at that time that swiped away all of those poneglyphs all over the world, which is how I assume and how we assume they were scattered throughout the course of the world. The way that it connects to the Joy Boy apology and Zunisha here in the image, all of that happening at the same time. I strongly believe when all that was popping off, that's when Toki was sent forward into the future. So it's like whenever we get into the Void Century flashback and we're seeing it from those perspectives, and we see the reason why she was sent forth into the future, I think that is going to be the major part of Toki's role, from a narrative standpoint, to truly show us the connection there between the past and the present, and why it is that the Kozuki clan tried so hard to ensure that these things would be kept for the future to see, right? A history that people would see, their history in particular, which was trying to be erased. And they utilized it, obviously, in a way to be able to preserve it. And maybe Toki herself, with her mission being to see that through. To make sure that she eventually made it to the individual that would end up saving everything in 800 years later. Because she's looking for someone, exactly. She was most certainly looking for Joy Boy. And what's crazy is, OMG, if she would have just went 20 years into the future, she would have found Joy Boy. She would have found Joy Boy on the roof of Onigashima. Crazy that... thank you, by the way. Crazy that the ancient civilization had actual skyscrapers like the modern world, like the humans abusing the Mother Flame's power in the first world is what caused her demise. And I think that's what they're going for, Mist, honestly, with the passage for the first world. Because if the Serpent of Hellfire does represent, as we were talking about earlier, instead of a literal serpent, it represents the technological revolution, it represents maybe the greed of the people of the planet at the time, then their own they caused their own destruction, right? Which might be what Oda's trying to say in regards to the first and second world. In particular, the first world. On how it is that they caused their own demise. Koshman comes with a 5 and says, what if those aren't a dragon and a sea king, but are actually an Itsumade and a sandworm? Mars and Jupiter's powers of existence in the Void Century. That's an interesting interpretation. I really didn't think of it in that way. So instead of it being a dragon and a sea king, it's instead an Itsumare and a sandworm. A sandworm, of course, on the right, Itsumare in the middle. So these could be the original monsters that then became the Gorosei's abilities. If that's the case, Akash Panda, then there's a lot of history there, man. And that would also explain why we never got the Otobox for those things either. Which would mean the Cerberus and some of the other things that also haven't gotten Otoboxes are also going to not receive anything like that until we get to the Void Century and see what those things actually were. That would also explain why they know. Like, think about it, right? If you're right, Akash Panda, that would explain why they know that mythical Zoans or Zoans have a will of their own. Because they might have experienced that firsthand. Thank you, Akash Panda. Did this chapter confirm that D is a crescent moon in your opinion? Someone in my chat convinced me. I'm right there, Zoro. Especially when I read Artur's interpretation earlier. Artur's interpretation worded it very interesting, Zoro, where it's like obviously the other interpretations all refer to the half moon and the half crescent moon in a way to where it really does make it feel like the D-Clan. But I think what truly, truly sold me is when I read the Artur translation, and it talks about like the half moon. Oh, let me bring up the actual line, because it reminds me of like what Emu said in chapter 1085. Where's the line? Here it is. The meddlesome lingering shadows shall remember the day of promise. They will listen to the voices of the half-broken moon. So, if we go back to the second world, the people of the half moon had a dream, and the people of the moon had a dream. When you bring in the idea of a half-broken moon, what that implies is that they were all a part of one single civilization, one single moon. And they broke off due to disagreements. They broke off due to whether they were severed on purpose and broken off through the intent of some greater power or whatever, or they themselves in a revolution broke off and created what would then become, the enemies of the gods and things of that nature. In that way, to me, absolutely it is the D. No question. I think that is our biggest clue to what the will of D is, if we look at it from that standpoint. That's the way that I'm seeing it, Zoro. And I really do think it very well could be the case. It just makes so much sense. Especially whenever we look at it from the Skypiea standpoint, with like the D that's up there. I don't know, man. There's a lot. There's a lot going in its favor. That's a great point, Silvershot. Silvershot brings up, how long was this war? Could it have taken the whole century for the WG to win? On some kingdom stuff. I'm going to assume, at the very least, one of the wars, either the first one or the second one, maybe not an entire century, but it probably took a very long time with multiple different battles. Absolutely. Lazy Muffle says, the mural is like a poneglyph. We feel like we can actually read. I wonder if the mural was the reason why they made them in the first place. Ah, yes. The second world sounds like the people of Wano. It does. It truly does. But yes, I love that. The mural is a poneglyph that we feel we can actually read. I love that interpretation. And something like the mural, the idea of the mural, is the same reason why they decided to leave the poneglyphs behind in the first place. To carry on that story, to carry on that history for generations upon generations in the future. To ensure they were never forgotten. Because as Hero Look said, people only die when they're forgotten, right? And that was brought up in the same arc where we were first introduced to the idea of the Will of D. So I think that's very, very intentional. Especially with what we're now really starting to understand on how Emu and the Gorosei have attempted to hide the existence of these individuals because all they fear is that people remember who these people were. and they remember what the D stood for and all these different things, remembering to them is the worst thing, period. Like, they would rather have anything than individuals remember the people of that time period and or call back to them in some way, shape, or form. That's like the worst case scenario for them. Because that proves their existence. That proves that they were alive. Definitely Questing. Yeah, with the hieroglyphics and with like the Mayan Aztec stuff, it's so cool. Right down to the art style. Exactly, OMG, like Toki got so close to her goal and she said, screw the goal, because I fell in love with someone that meant more to me than my mission. I know this mission was for the betterment of the future. But little did she know that selfish act of her wanting to be with Odin would then lead to her children being the catalyst to bringing the actual individual that would change everything into their country. It's those types of happy coincidences that are what makes the series so special. It makes adventure so special. According to Sandman, what Archer calls a half-broken moon is just an old way of referring to a half moon in Japanese. I see. So pretty much it's still referring to the half moon. Maybe Oda is hinting Loki's legendary devil fruit is the serpent? Very well could be. Fits perfectly with him wanting to destroy the world, and it fits with Norse mythology with Jormungandr. Yeah, that's a good point, Seb. It's a very good point. As I think it will be revealed in 1139, who do you think is the mysterious man? Gabon, Shiki, or somebody else? So, obviously, Skopper Gabon in the latest chapter, it feels like the most obvious come away. The conversation that's being had here, considering who the character is, the importance. We know this individual is still alive, and the fact that we have yet to meet them, and the context of the panel, so much is leading towards it being Skopper Gabon. I could totally see it not being Skopper Gabon. I don't think it's Shiki. So I'm going to go with Skopper Gabon, Louis Arno, or someone very, very deeply connected to the Roger Rayleigh Shanks, all that stuff. A real lurking legend from that time period. We could even be looking at someone like a Rox as potentially being that person. You know what I'm saying? Someone of that legendary level and tier. To me, that's the route that we're going in. Either a Skopper Gabon, someone deeply connected to the whole Shanks, Roger stuff, or a lurking legend from that Rox era that is still around today. That's my prediction. And like you said, the individual with the burn scar very well could be the case as well. Yeah, for real, Kaiju Jutsu, like, it's either Gabon or we're going to be like, sweet mother of Flagnards. You know what I'm saying? Brandon King! Let's get. For the preparation of the raid on Onigashima is going to parallel Joy Boy's battle with his companions versus Imu and WG. Yes, Silver Shot, for sure. I feel the same way. Hopefully with some Poneglyph translations in the future. Definitely. California Penguin. Hopefully so. Have we checked out chapter 292? Yes. I saw it through, but we both saw it here on the channel, as well as I've seen it in multiple different tweets. Excuse me. What do you think about the fact that Kaido had a move called Conquer the Three Worlds? Makes you wonder what he knew about Joy Boy now. Absolutely, Brandon King. I've been thinking a lot about Kaido as the more these reveals start dropping, especially whenever y'all brought up that idea in the stream. Kaido is similar to Blackbeard, two characters that I've been thinking about quite a bit. In regards to what they know, right? Like their knowledge of this entire situation. What they know about Joy. Because obviously, his captain was Rocks, and he was dealing into taboo subjects, and there's nothing more taboo than Joy Boy in the world of even with them. So, Rocks bringing up Joy Boy and these things to Kaido and the rest of the Rocks pirates, to me, makes total sense. But I just wonder how much Kaido knew. Now that we know about the Conqueror of the Three Worlds thing, because it's just so interesting. Especially with the fact that he wants to create the greatest war the world's ever seen. That implies that you may have knowledge about the other wars that could happen too. That have happened. Yes, Mist. Like I was actually talking about that earlier with Trails. The stories that have like advanced ancient civilizations are so fascinating to me. So fascinating. Mist, if you want another story like that, and honestly, for anyone who has experience like Trails and is loving what they're seeing in One Piece right now, the two that that really fascinate me in regards to their connection to both of those series. In the One Piece connection, obviously, is Castle in the Sky. There's so much Laputa and everything. There's just so much that Oda drew from, for sure. And like you said, with the FF7 and stuff, it's incredible how many of those like remind you of each other. But there's another that for sure the Trails creators drew from, and that's Xenogears, man. Like, yo, Xenogears. Trails would not exist without Xenogears. Like, yo, when you play... I played Xenogears after I played the Trails series, and I was floored with just how many times I said, dude. Unreal amounts of, like... Kondo must have been inspired by this the same way that, like, Oda was inspired by Vicky the Viking type stuff. I mean, it is incredible. It is. I mean, I love that game just in general, but in regards to stuff like that, it is immensely interesting the way that it's done. But yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Miss. All that stuff fascinates me to no end, man. Loki also has his tongue sticking out like a snake. Great point, Quack 2. That's honestly interesting, Flourish. Yeah, the thought about the parallels between Vivi and Odin, choosing to stay behind or set sail or not. Yeah, two characters that decided to, one character decided to set off on his journey and say screw it all. The other one who decided no, to stay behind, and now is actually going to be able to, we assume, go out and be with the Straw Hats here in the last couple of arcs. Ball Kebab. Xenogears is definitely one of the greatest ever. Definitely in my top 10. My theory of the mural, I think the child's dream was to see that all the races being united, and that's in line with Luffy's final dream too. I definitely do believe so, Subra. I think what the last two chapters have shown us is that Luffy's dream is definitely going to have something to do with that. It's about like it's got to be something world scale at this point. That's why I bet the Oro Jackson is here. And that's why I bet the Oro Jackson is here. And if the Straws get the ship damaged or broken, Frankie reunites with his master's creation and uses it to fix the Sunny. Brandon King, if this is the arc where we find the remains of the Oro Jackson, he finds what Tom built, oh man. I would love that. I would love that. Brandon King, that is a fantastic idea. Please, Oda, let's do that. Yes. So it made it to Laugh Tale at the right time after all. Yes, Renegade, carrying the will, literally, of the Roger Pirates. I posted this earlier, but I recommend you read the first few pages of chapter 156. I think it's relevant to the powers of the Earth God and its enraged creation of the Red Line. 156. That is right before Alabasta, if I'm not mistaken. Right here. Chapter 156, Volume 18. Ace arrives. So, the first few pages, right? Quack 2. Steam in the middle of the ocean. It's a hot spot. What's that? A place where magma comes out of the ocean floor. There's an undersea volcano here. A volcano under the water? There are more volcanoes under the water than above it. Who cares? We can't eat it. And in a few thousand or tens of thousands of years, right here, a new island will be born. I wonder... I wonder if I'll still be alive in tens of thousands of years. I don't think people live that long. It smells like sulfur. Clear up soon. The steam. That is so... thank you for reminding me to read that, Quag 2. And in a few thousand or tens of thousands of years, right here, right there, a new island will be born. A place where magma comes out of the ocean floor. There's an undersea volcano here. Goes into the eruption thing we were talking about earlier. Scopper kept the Oro Jackson in Elbaf. If the Oro Jackson is in Elbaf, then yes, Akash Panda. Yes, if that is truly Scopper Gabon, 100%. Oro Jackson's here. And he kept it here. Vortex! What is good, yo? Except for my boy Foxy to make his move. We already saw him in Egghead. It's only a matter of time until the sixth Emperor of the Sea starts doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? I want to see the big egg so bad. I mean, it's probably hatched at this point, right? It's been 24 years. That thing's probably hatched at this point, unless... Could you imagine we actually see it in this arc? And it's still, like, being incubated? The big, humongous egg that potentially maybe even originated in Elbaf is here? I want to see that. I definitely want to see that if the big egg is here. The bloodstained serpent, yes, the Kosh Panda. That's exactly what I was referring to. What if the egg on Roger's ship was the Serpent of Fire's reincarnation? That would be flipping crazy. Now, it would also explain why Oda has never shown this thing to us. If we wouldn't have had the necessary context for it. Yep, not for sure, Queston. And they're coming. Well, I don't know if the Revs are coming here, but they'll definitely be making their move when they realize that the Holy Knights have also made theirs. Can you tell who all you think is on the left side battling? Is the dog behind Emmett the Minx? So the dog is I think the dog is the only one that I can't really predict. Neither the fox on the top right. But if this is a prophetic thing, then that's Lunarians, Laboon, Frankie / Emmett, Loki, Luffy, Poseidon, the Tontatas, the Minks, the Giants, all the different kingdoms. We're talking Dressrosa and Wano and Alabasta and all the different kingdoms that we've met throughout the course of the series. That is my interpretation of all the different things that we see on the left side. I just don't know what the dog thing and the fox thing on top are. Foxy. Can you imagine? The fox thing on top is flipping Foxy. Yo. That's incredible. Gosh, Panda comes in with a 2 and says, shout out to the Tontata fighting emo on the front line. They're doing their thing. They're doing their thing. And let me tell you something. The Tontata gave us our one of our first insights, right? Back in Dressrosa. About, like, what was really taking place 800 years ago? Like, come on, man. The space pirates? Oh, yeah, great point, Sunjin. Well, I forgot about the fact that they could potentially join us on here as well. You're absolutely right. Yeah, actually, yeah, that makes sense. It kind of does look like the space pirates. Inuarashi? Yeah! But wouldn't they be a part of the Minks? I think so, Flourish. Then if it's not Laboon, Derek Abrivia, it might be a ship. Like people have been saying, it legitimately might be like a whale ship. Second bravest Tontata right after the one who slept with Big Mom. Yo, ain't that the truth? Could the fox thing maybe be Yamato? Hey, Hank, don't get me excited. That's a great point. Hey, because of my love for Yamato, I will join you on that cook. I rock with that idea. Very, very well could be the case. Oh, the karmic flames. Going Ryuga. Ooh, that is what was used to describe the serpent. Yeah, so Cooch, we were actually talking about that in the live stream for the chapter reaction about the serpent potentially being the red line, which I think is extremely interesting and would lead into like I keep bringing up the Fox Tamer comment. Fascinating stuff. David Sinkogoya comes in with a 10 and says, people's dreams never end. So if Loki died here, then that would mean the final war won't happen because the mural is the dream of the children of Elbaf since 900 years ago. So if Loki dies here, then that final war won't happen. The cause and effect. Because clearly he's in the mural. Unless the mural is, as others have brought up, like the original Void Sentry battle, rather than what's going to happen in the future. But you're right. No, you're right, Davidson. If Loki dies, then that thing does not come into fruition. Maybe a different version of it, but not the exact same way for sure. Unless it is a Void Sentry interpretation of it. Thank you, Davidson. Shunsuke Amagai, the filler. That is true. And he had the big horn fire thing that always said before he fired his Zanpakuto. I remember that. Captain Amagai. Yo, McDudes, what's good? I wish Law could see the mural. Dude, I want Law and Robin to see the mural. In Ragnarok, the world ends and resets, right? I've heard an old theory that Marcos is awakened, allowing him to sacrifice himself and be reborn as someone else thanks to the Phoenix powers. That is very interesting. That would connect into what we've been talking about with the Gorosei. The world continuously ending and resetting being the idea of Ragnarok. True that, Berningen. So the way I look at it, Cooch, is in regards to the dream. There are certain dreams, and I'm talking about like literal dreams, where sometimes it does feel like you're jumping between time periods. They are so mixed up at times, especially if you get interrupted in the REM and you're jumping between multiple different dreams in one. It can feel like you're going from one to another and then to another. But when we're talking about, being shown, visions through dreams of like the past, the present, and prophecies of the future, then you're heading into like fairy tale fable stuff, which is exactly why I do believe what is being brought up here. And of course, we're talking about last in the chapter reaction with like real visions, right? As shown through stuff like in Norse mythology or even in the Bible with the Book of Revelations. These things show clear things of the future, but not just clear things of the future. Obviously, within those very same texts in the Norse texts, or like I said, once again with the Bible in the Book of Genesis, were like the origins, the first world, quote unquote, in that sense of how things came to be, but they are still inspired by the very same thing, right? Of why that thing creates. Both of them inspired by God in their own ways. So, with the dream of 900 years ago, it would have to be something that was inspired, right, by that dream, by what they've heard, by the individuals that are around them, by the stories that they've heard about the upbringings that they had, the legends that have been inscribed, the Harley texts that have been around for so long, or even, outside of the Harley text, the things that the giants are saying, the happenings around the world, all of that fuel into your dreams as well, right? So that's the way that I see it. Hank, the giant straw hat, might be hidden by Frankie. In that panel, man, I'm telling you. Yo, Mouse, what's good? A phenomenal chapter. Could the survivors of the first world be moved to the moon? Are those little creatures that Enno saw the sense of the people from the first world? I do think so. I think they are a remnant of the first world. Maybe not a representation of all who lived in the first world, but they definitely do come from the first world. I 100% believe so. 100% believe so. Mean Green. Looking at it from a different interpretation. So, if the left side of the mural is supposed to represent the past battle, not the future battle, then could the ancient giant in the mural be Ors? That's interesting. So rather than Loki, it's actually Ors in that image. That is very interesting. I don't think so, because didn't in the timeline wasn't Ors from 400, 500 years ago, right? Am I wrong on that? I think Ors is from 400 years ago. Seriously, Derek. Frankie's Luffy's Emeth. That's for sure. Yeah, or his predecessor. You can definitely see that. Or his predecessor. Yeah, Ancient Giants. The Seraphim are Automaton 2.0. Yeah, and that's why Emu wants them. They most certainly are. Just like the automatons. Yeah, Momonosuke is definitely going to be important. Wait, Luffy and Blackbeard both change fate this arc. Luffy changes fate by not accepting his real form as a sun god. Blackbeard changes it by taking Lucky's fruit instead, so he doesn't destroy the world. So, both of them destroying fate. I'm fascinated by this idea of you implying the fact that Blackbeard's going to come in and take Loki's fruit. That is very interesting. Changes it by taking Loki's fruit instead so that he doesn't destroy the world. Blackbeard's third fruit being Loki's. I remember when we were about to enter Wano, one of the biggest theories in the community was that Blackbeard was going to interrupt the battle with Kaido and take the dragon fruit. Or, I'm sorry, not before Wano, in the middle of Wano. And he was going to take the dragon fruit. Once we found out that it was the dragon, especially when Blackbeard was reintroduced into the story in chapter 925, that was a major theory. And so, for him to come in and actually take Loki's fruit instead would be super fascinating. But it would be such a Blackbeard thing to do. Oh, this mural's incredible. So, Vortex says, Coach, they hid the truth from us. This is the real mural. And then in this other mural, we have Gangster Gastino. We've got Foxy. We've got the Celestial Dragons. We got Usopp. Bro, this is crazy. Sogeking Kid. What is Kid doing here, yo? Oh my god, dude. You got what's his face from the filler? Oh man, from the G8 filler. Starts with a C. How could I forget his name? That's how you know it's. Oh my god, it's almost 1:00 in the morning. Starts with a C, dude. I forgot the name. And Buggy, mother of Flagnards. Condoriano. That's what it is. Condoriano. That's what it was. That is an amazing... That is the real mural for sure. That is the real mural. Celestial Dragons, man. Probably Charlos, too. What a flagnard. Look at Gangster Gastino on the bottom. It's Gangster Gastino. The funniest part about this image is that it's Gangster Gastino directly in front of the Gorosei. And you got Sogeking and Buggy in front of Emu. Now, Buggy can box Emu. You know what I mean? That's happening. That's happening at some point in the future. Thank you. Yeah, I got you. Condoriano. Rat Shanks. It was... I was trying to clock what that was. That's actually a Rat Shanks, dude. That is crazy. Mr. Three's on the bottom of the page. That's amazing. That's incredible. This is peak. Rat Shanks is nuts. Rat Shanks, man. Oh, that's amazing. Davidson Kuge comes up with a 5 and says, Odin welcomed Kawamatsu might be a foreshadow that Wano could be an ally to Fishman Island because of common ancient weapons and the Fishman Island poneglyph. So, hey, I love me some Kawamatsu. So, I do believe Wano is most certainly going to end up being an ally to Fishman Island, especially because they're both going to be a part of Luffy's alliance. I definitely see that coming. But both of them being in an alliance because of one having Poseidon and the other one having Pluton is also definitely a common thing that it could bring them together. I can most certainly see that for sure, Davidson. And like I said, the Fishman Island poneglyph. A Momonosuke and Shirahoshi alliance. That'd be some good stuff. DRK Fed 101 comes in with a 20 and says, First World, Earth God versus Other Gods. There were also Man King, King of Slaves, commanded by the gods to produce eternal power. The slaves prayed for its liberation, and those prayers were sent to the moon, and the moon sent the sun god. First World, the sun god struck lightning at the tree. Forest gods are friends. Under the tree, the water is removed, and the king of slaves can walk up to safety. The earth god, angry at stealing of power, created the red line. Okay. Fed coming in and delivering interpretations of history here. So, Earth God versus the other. So let's break this down with the first super. Earth God. Yo, Dak, what is good? What is good, Dak? Hey, Dak, man, shout out to the Cavs, bro. Shout out to the Cavs. Dak, what did you think about the Luka trade? Earth God versus other gods. There were also Man King, kings of the slaves, commanded by the gods to produce eternal power, as we see on the right side of the page. The slaves prayed for liberation, obviously. Those prayers were sent to the moon, sent specifically to the moon, and then the moon sent back the sun god. That's interesting. Sun god struck lightning at the tree with the part of the drawing there. Forest gods are friends. Are friends. Under the tree, the water is removed, and the king of slaves can walk up to safety. The earth god gets angry at the stealing of power and created the red line to cause that separation. That goes so in line with some creation stories that I really do like this, especially this last part right here. DRK Fed. The earth god gets angry at stealing of power and creates the red line. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the super, yo. Definitely cooked. And I love that last part. Eagles and Cavs are walking home with titles in 2025, coach. You better believe it, man. You better, yo, the Eagles are bringing it home, dude. We are bringing it home, please. Please. Wes says, how did the poem's author know about the third world? The same way that Odin knew 20 years in the future, someone pirates would come in and take out Kaido. There's something we don't know, man. There's something we do not know about how they knew that individuals would come in the future, the same way that Toki knew. It's like, man, there's something we don't know there, yo. Insane trade. I thought the Mavs could have got another pick or connect, but I get not wanting to pay the Supermax to Luka in the new CBA, plus all the contenders have an elite big, so I get what Dallas is going for. It's just insane to me, Dak. It caught me so off guard. I was like, bro, I just finished watching the Royal Rumble. Great show, by the way. And, came back home, was actually getting ready for today. And that trade drops out of nowhere, bro. I was like, what in the flying flagnards? This is nuts. Let me see, Subra. What is this? My boy Cole? What am I looking at? Yo, straight up. That's what it feels like. That is truly what it feels like. That is truly. Oh, Quinto Emperador made this. Oh, that's super cool. Shout out to Quinto. That is so cool. Man, no, that truly represents exactly what it feels like to read this chapter. Truly. Yeah, no, Mason, I feel you. Like, who created the fruits in the first place? Obviously, the manifestation of the desires is what caused the concept to come into fruition. But it states that the forest god was the one that did it. So it's like, what? First and foremost, who is that individual? And did they truly create it, right? Because it just says that they released it, or that's what's implied. Created, quote unquote, released. Like, we know the origin of fruits has something to do, and some sort of connection to do with why the Gorosei and Imu and them don't have Oda boxes for their fruits. That is also true, Lazy Mofos. There was a report that came out, Lazy Mofos, that like they apparently talked to someone else before they approached the Lakers, but that team declined. So it must have been. I mean, if you're declining anyone for Luka, it had to have been like someone who they really have stake in their future, like a Jokic or a Wemby, one of those untradeable players. Do we think it's possible the mural actually only depicts the first two worlds and the third world has no images? That's a very possible question. That's what I think that's what makes this mural so great. So it could interpret the first world only, the second world only, the first and second world, and it could do all three, or just the third. It's insanely fascinating. I noticed Kim Possible has been replaced with the marimba. It has not. My text theme is still the Kim Possible theme. But it's only for text messages. The marimba theme is for notifications. Just regular notifications. But the Kim Possible text message theme I have not changed in like over 10 years. It's just like the Dead Bushi. And when somebody calls me, I hear that ba-da. That hasn't changed in God knows how many years. Barem! What is good, yo? Brian was in membership for 34 months and says, Coach, I'm still stuck on the last panel. Told my brother to hurry and catch up. Oda told us before, I'm learning how to cook on the grill. He said it. He said, I'm learning how to cook on the grill. And then when he came back from his hiatus, he said, from here on out, y'all better strap in because you might not get a chance to breathe again. And he meant it. He meant it. Like, Oda meant it, man. Barem, thank you for being a member for almost 3 years, dude. Phenomenal last panel. And yeah, hopefully your brother can catch up soon. Like, somebody catching up before all this stuff happens is like the best time. And I know I've been saying that for the past couple of years, but I mean, we're really about to enter the final stretch. If this chapter told us anything, it's that we're about to enter the end game of One Piece, like the actual end game of One Piece. Like, we're here. We're truly here. It's going to be peak fiction. But ladies and gentlemen, it is 1:01 in the morning. We've streamed for about 2.5 hours. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate y'all, number one, for bringing this idea up to do a live afterthoughts for this chapter. I can't stop thinking about this chapter. I can't stop talking about this chapter. I need this chapter injected into my veins. And I can't believe this isn't a break week chapter, that we're going to have another chapter this week. 4 chapters in a row, man. I cannot wait. DRK Fed 101 comes up with a 2 and says, Voice of all things is world 2, echoes in void. So the voice of all things is the second world's echoes in the void. Like a collective subconscious type of thing, except it's going through from the past into the present. Because of what happened with Joy Boy and the knots, I am actually not going to rule out that potential possibility. I'm really not. I'm really not going to rule it out. I think that would be fascinating. Especially with how the concept of will and things never dying is in One Piece. I would not throw that out, bro. It's a great idea, actually. Then Akash Panda comes with the 2 as his forest god is Gaimon. Why does that feel like it makes sense to me? Why does it actually feel like it's real? The dude stuck in the treasure chest is actually the one who gave us fruits. Can you imagine? He's been around for 900 years. He called himself the guardian of the forest. He did. He flippin' did. Akash Panda spitting. He most certainly did. He most certainly did. Akash Panda, as a Gaimon fan, that means something to me. We're definitely taking that to the bank. You know what I'm saying? That works for me. That works for me. Appreciate you, Akash Panda. Nah, California Penguin, thank you. Thank y'all. Check the Discord. Ah, I see. So Sun God is the only one that is not written in quotations. But that makes sense to me, Super, because we know he's not a god. We know that he's just a dude with a fruit. Like that's one thing that I really appreciate about the way that at the very least Nika has been interpreted within the series, is that Nika, Joy Boy, and Luffy are, to our assumption, at least to my interpretation, is he was just looked at as a god because of what he was able to bring to people's faces, right? And how he was able to liberate individuals. But in terms of actually being something like that, he was just a dude with a fruit. Like that at least I don't know about the first world Nika, right? That's a different story. But in terms of Joy Boy and Luffy, people look at them as being quote unquote godlike individuals. Nothing of the sort. Just dudes with fruits. You know what I'm saying? So, but I guess we'll have to see how that connects into the differences between Nika and the other ones from that time period, I suppose. Yeah, no, for sure, and that is kind of interesting, Subra, of how like specifically only the Sun God is in quotations, and then the Book of Eli comes in with a 2 and says, was started in chapter 203, page 4. Continues with 1138. 203, page 4. That was the Alabasta mausoleum stuff, right? I think. Let me see. Pretty sure I have the volume back there, but I don't feel like getting up right now. Because I have all the Alabasta volumes, but let me see. $200 what? 203, page 4. Ah, yes. The poneglyphs in Alabasta. The Year of Heaven. Started here with the poneglyphs. Seriously, yo. It all started here. And now we're all like extremely obsessed with knowing more about this Void Century. You're spitting the Book of Eli. You're spitting. Yeah, the first world history of Alabasta. Like from all the way here back here with like Kahira being conquered by Alabasta, the Year of Heaven. And it's like all of this stuff that was probably back in the first world. You know what I'm saying? This is all first world stuff, potentially. Up until now, especially with I remember the other panel was with like the drawings when they talk about like the origins of Alabasta could be like 4,000 years old or something. It's like, dude, been around for a long time. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for today. Once again, thank you so much for being here. We'll be back, of course, this week with another chapter reaction. I'm going to see what we can do with Kingdom this week, especially with Super Bowl Sunday made next week. There's no way I'm going to be able to do a Kingdom stream next Sunday, especially since the Eagles are playing. I'm not even going to be home. So I'm going to see what I can do with Kingdom this week. For the members, there is going to be an Akane Banashi video that'll be dropping this week, where I just gush over the recent chapters. That'll be for the members. That I already recorded that. That one's already ready to go. I just got to put it out. And then for Kingdom, like I said, that is hopefully going to be done soon. We shall see. It was caught in between Peak Fiction One Piece chapter this week, and last week my internet was dying. As y'all saw within the stream, my internet was horrible in the stream. So we'll see what happens with Kingdom. So I will see y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here on this Sunday night, all the way up until like 1 o'clock in the morning, talking about the One Piece greatness. It's just, this chapter was just sensational. I can't get enough of it, and I can't wait to see what chapter 1139 has in store for us in the fourth. I'm gonna say this again, the fourth chapter in a row. That man Otis cooking, yo. All love to everyone. Thank y'all so much for being here today, and I'll see y'all on Thursday/Friday for some more Peak Fiction, man. Y'all have a good night.